I want to talk to you about the concept of talking to someone who's just passed away recently or who's passed away a while ago and you're really looking to have a talk with their spirit. So, a lot of people will go and see a medium or a psychic channeler or some sort of external person to have that conversation with your loved one that's passed over, whether that's a friend, family member, parent, whatever. And that is totally valid and cool. And you can go and do that. But what about the people that really want to take the responsibility and connection into their own hands, who want to really direct relationship and connection with someone that has left their physical body but is in a spirit world? So I want to sort of break down how you might think about it. What are some of the rules to think about and how you might prepare to do this for yourself? Because everyone has that in them to do. We're all energetic beings. We all have an energetic body and we can communicate with the invisible or someone who's crossed over. So let's even think about what that means. When your grandmother, mother, partner, someone that you know passes from the physical reality through death and into the energetic world, what really happens? Well, the spirit, which is the spark of life that's in them, that's animating their body, that's bringing them into reality, that spark of life and that source goes to the next lifetime or into the spirit world or wherever the next incarnation of that person or spirit will go. The soul body, though, the soul body, that is, if you're looking at my example of me, Debbie Pask in this lifetime, the personality and identity of Debbie, that part goes to what we call the Akashic Records. It's the soul body. It's my living, breathing body from my ancestors, my parents, my genetics, my code, my consciousness, my memories as Debbie goes into what we call the Akashic Records. It's like a library of all the souls that lived, because spirit is different to soul. Spirit is the spark of life that goes to the next lifetime. Soul body or soul is what is imprinted as the life that I've lived here in this dimension, this reality, Earth. So that part of me goes up to what we call the Akashic Records. Now, when you're talking to your crossed over or passed over grandmother or grandfather or parent, you're talking to the Akashic Record. You're talking to their soul body. And so if you want to have a communication directly with that person that's crossover, you can. And the way that I'm going to tell you how you can do that. And of course, this relies on you being connected, intuitive. It relies on you believing in it. It relies on you having the intention. The law of intention, one of the first universal laws, intention is everything. So what are some of the rules to start? Well, firstly, when you're speaking and calling upon your passed over, let's just say it's grandmother from the Akashic Records, don't call her into your field. You don't want her spirit in your house or your field. That is not cool. You want to talk to the spirit of her, so you want to communicate. So it's a little bit like saying, hey friend, come over and stay at my house for the night versus picking up the telephone or the mobile phone and calling them. You want to call them and talk to them. You don't want to invite them into your house. Otherwise, your passed over grandmother might be wandering around your house with her spirit called into your place. So you want to well, not her spirit, her soul body. So what you want to do is you want to actually say, my intention is not to call in that soul Akashic record into my house, the imprint of my dead grandmother. I would actually prefer to have conversation with her. So that's the first rule, is be really clear on that. And the second intention is, what do you actually want to know or be or do or feel or have? So is it that you just want to feel this beauty and love and presence, or do you want questions asked and answered? That's really important. So how do I prepare for this? And you don't have to be psychic to do this, because we're all psychic ultimately. We all have our own original senses. So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about finding a quiet space. So if you're doing this yourself, the first rule is, I'm not inviting this soul body in. I'm just going to have a conversation. Find a nice quiet space. I prefer nature. Number two, think about dropping into more of an alpha brain state. And what I mean by that is take some breaths, relax, take time to orient. If you're in that quick, busy, stressed beta brain, it'll be very hard to focus. So you want to sort of sit into this calm, relax, do some breathing, maybe do a mini meditation if you can, and just sit in a space of stillness. And then start being aware of the field. There's a field all around you of nature, energy, source. Start being aware of what the field's telling you. Are you feeling wind on your face? Are you noticing the birds or sounds, or are you noticing the energy drop? Start to notice what's happening in the field around you. They often say that passed over people come across as birds or through bird song. I really have seen that firsthand myself. I'm not saying that's an absolute truth, but I have seen that myself. So just be aware of anything that makes itself known. The next part would be to intend, and you have a clear intention. I want to talk to my crossed over grandmother or whoever you're calling, remember, not inviting in. And then you get a sense and feel for the memory of that person, what she looked like, how she was, and then start to imagine in your mind's eye. We all need anchor points. Imagine that you're sitting around a campfire. Close your eyes. Imagine you're sitting around a campfire with her, or you're sitting there and then she comes and sits next to you at the campfire. That's the energetic phone call we're having with our crossed over person. So we're basically imagining they're at the campfire with us. We call it spirit talk when we train this sort of stuff. When we train people how to do it, it's called spirit talk. You're having a conversation with the spirit or soul of the person. So then you sit there and then you allow yourself to converse. You might ask questions to hear answers. You might get a feeling or a sense. If you're a very feeling person, you might get the emotions through your body. If you're more of a talker, you might clairaudiently hear a conversation. If you're more visual, you might just see something. And then wait and give yourself some time and patience to really have that dialogue in that campfire situation, or some it could be by a waterfall or a lake. It's whatever really stands out to you that's an anchor for you to sit and have a conversation. And when you're finished and when you feel like you've got what you've needed, then I want you to imagine that they get up and walk away, meaning I've ended the phone call, I've hung up. And my intention is that I don't want them in my field or my house or my space. I don't want that spirit, that Akashic record soul spirit hanging around my energy field. So you imagine that they go back to where they are. Thank you for the phone call, and then sit and process what you've got from that situation or scenario. And that's the first step in having a beautiful, deep conversation with someone that's crossed over. If you're feeling really fragile, you don't feel like you can do that, of course you can ask someone to help do that on your behalf. But I would really consider how you can practice this deep, intrinsic, shamanistic skill of going, everything's alive, everything has energy, whether it's passed over or alive, everything can be communicated with. And remember the golden rule, I communicate with, I don't invite in. I hope that helps. And if there's any questions, drop it below this video. Thanks for listening.